Welcome to Keystone Connect, a video and podcast series connecting friends to faith, culture, and good vibes. I'm here with Paul and Michelle, aka Pichelle or Maul. Either one. Pichelle, okay.
Yeah, that's better.
And we're in week 7.
Week 7. Well,
Who
I
knew?
knew I was meant for video, so
Yeah.
I'm like, my outfit's by Gina's Boutique. Thank you, Gina Van Gessel.
Okay.
So we're your
Plug.
7th guests. So you're kind
Yeah.
of working your way down the list.
Set of guests, yeah. Don't take it personal. 7's my lucky number, so that's kind of why it
Mine too.
worked
you
out the
saved
way
the
it is.
best for the 7th.
Yep.
Perfect.
So today, Paul and Michelle are going to play a fun couples game that you can even replicate back at your house. We're talking about music and its role in our faith, sharing some local and probably the weirdest good news I've shared yet. And Paul and Michelle are rounding up with some recommendations. So let's get into it. So, if you don't know who these two lovely people are, this is Pichelle, and they're both on staff here at Keystone. While they both wear a lot of different hats, to put it as simple as possible, Paul heads up the worship and tech team, and Michelle oversees building operations and has a lot of various positions of that. So Paul, tell us a little bit about your story in regards to how you got involved at Keystone and ended up working here.
Yeah, it goes quite a ways back to the very early days. When Gene was here, I was through a friend, through Mike Van Gessel, got introduced to Gene, and they were wrestling with the sound, so I was a sound guy, and kind of came in and got to know Gene a little bit in Keystone, and ended up drumming here way back, and I don't know the dates, but way back.
Like 13 years?
Yeah, well, probably more like around the time this building, in fact, when the building was under construction, so I think it's like 15 years.
Okay.
16-ish, Randy would know. But, and then kind of got invited to play some drums in there with Kyle Wormington, who was a worship director then. And then just kind of a little spotty here and there, and then Randy and Jim Davis launched the North Campus up in Rockford, and that's at the time where I was living. So they kind of pulled me into that, and my son Alex and I kind of got super involved in that
Nice.
whole process. And then when that North Campus kind of faded off and closed it, we came here to Spalding, Jim Davis and I and Alex, and been here ever since. I think that was about 7 years ago, 6 or 7, maybe 8, somewhere in there.
Okay, so you were technically on staff then once you started here at the new building, or were you helping out at Rockford and then it kind
Yeah,
of
so I
transitioned
came on staff when we moved. I was volunteering in Rockford. So when we moved to Spalding here, then I came on staff.
Great.
Yep.
And you also own a music shop as well.
I have 2 music stores called Writ Music. One's in Holland, one's in Grand Rapids.
Plug.
And, yeah.
Check it out.
And they're kind of franchise, so I don't have to be the day-to-day
Yeah.
in the retail game, but I still own the
Big
business.
picture.
Big picture.
Big picture guy.
Yeah.
Cool.
I stay out of the way.
Yeah, love it. So Michelle, what about you?
Well, I met Gene DeYoung on a boat in Leland years ago. Didn't know he was a pastor. A couple of us hanging out at this marina. Ended up having a couple beers with him, and then was like, wait, you're a pastor? And he was awesome, and so started coming to Keystone. And then they were looking for a part-time children's coordinator. And he's like, you should totally do this. And I went, that's so weird. I never thought of working at a church in a million years. And so I took the job. It was part-time, and then I've been here ever since. And my roles just continued to change over the years. And
Yeah, so now you're involved in Global Extend, Local Extend,
Yeah.
Women's Ministry, and as is the case in a lot of churches here at Keystone as well, we just wear a lot of different hats and
yeah, for
keeps us
sure.
on our toes, and it's fun.
I love it. I like the diversity in
Yeah.
my job, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's nice because those are things that you're passionate about too, and the staff here, the leadership is really just all about having people do what they're passionate about, what they love doing, and makes coming to work
Absolutely.
pretty fun.
It is.
Yeah. So we are going to play a fun game with you two. Michelle, I think you brought a shoe ahead of time, but you just have one.
I did. I'm so mad. I wanted cute shoes. See, like, these are not cute shoes. So when I heard a shoe game, I was like, I'm bringing the
heels.
Sexy shoe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this game I would play a lot with couples that had just gotten married when I DJ'd. And how it's going to go is they're going to go back to back, and I'm going to ask them questions like, who's weirder? And then they'll hold up the shoe of who they think is weirder. So we might have to transition a little bit to set this up, but I want to also let the public know that this bit is brought to you by Adam's Tinder account, like the original Adam. He's 32. In his picture, he's holding a picture of a forbidden fruit, and it says, I would give up a rib to meet the right person. Hobbies include gardening and being with animals. Always willing to try new foods. Adam.
Is that real?
It is, yes, it's on the internet. I think it came from at the best Christian memes. They came up with all these different people from the Bible, their dating accounts, and so this bit is brought to you by that. Just so you guys know, I did not give them these questions ahead of time, so we'll see what happens here. Who would you say is doing better during quarantine? Both ones are coming up with Michelle. Okay. That'll be fun to talk about, Paul. You can get a little vulnerable on the podcast here later.
Good.
And this one's a reference to your guys' video on social media. Who is better at chess? Oh, disagreeing answers. I'm curious as to what the record is.
Seriously?
Michelle thinks it's herself, Paul thinks it's him.
Oh my gosh, I totally checkmated you in like
Who?
3 moves. I'm totally the winner.
You checked your mate. You were checking him out, probably. Who is better at puzzles? Michelle is the unanimous answer. I think, Paul, you've grown, but you were a beginner at first. Who is a better cook? Oh, wow. Taking the humble approach, both of you. Paul said Michelle. Michelle said Paul. Who is a pickier eater? Both got Michelle. Who said I love you first? Oh, different answer.
Wait,
Paul said himself. Michelle said herself. This is gold. This is amazing. Who is more athletic? Both say Paul. Yeah. Who is smarter? Wow. Another humble approach. Paul says Michelle. Michelle says Paul. That'll do you well in life. Who has the better shower singing voice? It's your breath. Okay, you both said the other person. Well done.
Oh, that's such a fib.
Paul's out here fibbing. Who's more likely to make the bedroom floor their personal laundry basket? Paul. Both say Paul. You're agreeing. Who's more likely to leave dishes in the sink? Paul raised his up. Michelle took a while and eventually raised Paul. Who takes longer showers? Michelle says her, Paul says himself. Who likes to be the life of the party more? Paul is thinking. Michelle has already raised hers. Michelle says Michelle. Paul says Paul. You guys can both be life of the party. It makes you a fun couple. Who, this could get personal, is a better driver?
What was that?
Who is a better driver? Both say Paul. Who is more stubborn? Michelle says Michelle. Paul says Michelle. Okay. This one's another
Finally, we agree on something.
This one's another real personal one. Who made the first move? Paul. That's good. Proud of you, Paul. Who's the most likely to cry at a movie? Paul. Both Paul.
I do. I cry at Hallmark movies. It's not pretty.
Who eats the most junk food? Both say Paul. Who remembers more of the details in regards to past experiences together, dates, anniversaries, all those? Both say Paul. I'm impressed, Paul. You're not making me look good because I lack in this category.
Yeah, you'll learn. You'll learn.
I will, hopefully. Who's more likely to fall asleep in front of the TV? Both say Paul. Paul, you had a You have the streak at the end there.
I do.
Yeah. It's not necessarily all bad stuff.
No,
Good stuff.
A lot of it is.
Okay, so that concludes our 20 questions. You can do this at your house. This is an activity I randomly thought of. You have someone record you, and then you don't make any noise. You hold them up the shoes for what you think is the right answer, and then you and your significant other will watch it together and see if you disagree or agree. So it's all done in silence, and you can just like hoist your phone up, or you can have someone take a video of you, and then you watch it at the same time, and you're like, what? How do you guys feel about good news today? You want to hear some good news?
I would love good news.
We need some good news.
We need some good news. We have some good news actually happening right here at Keystone through the KFC, the Keystone Face Mask Collaborative. I had the privilege of actually delivering about 50 face masks to Kids Food Basket. We'll pull up a picture here. I delivered them to one of the staff people, and she's smiling with her eyes. You know, you can't really see it because she's got a face mask, but you can tell she's smiling. They're very grateful for that. And if you want to get involved in the Keystone Face Mask Collaborative at all, just click the sign up tab up on our website for more information. We are looking for supplies as well, as we have to get creative because getting anything delivered is going to take a while. So would love to get masks made as soon as possible to help those in need. And I think we were just actually emailing about it today. Our next thing is going to be helping Sibley.
Sibley families don't have them, and so when they do the food pickup for their kids, we're going to hand out masks. So people are making masks, are going to be providing them to these families that are essential workers and have to ride the bus and aren't feeling safe. So it's super cool.
Yeah,
That is cool.
I'm really glad it's worked out. It's been really cool to see people step up and use their time to serve in some way. And then we also have coming up, I think it's tomorrow with Fill the Truck.
Yeah.
And so
Feed the
this
truck.
Oh, it's Feed the Truck. Dang it. I thought it was Fill the Truck. This was going to be my pun, Paul, because for the longest time I've thought you're like the Phil Collins of Keystone. So I thought like fill the truck, and then you spell it like Phil, and then it's just a picture.
Well, I actually think we should change it.
I think so too. Yeah, just get a huge sticker to put on the side of yours and Phil Collins' head next to each other.
I like this idea.
Can we pull up a picture right now at this point and just put it on YouTube, like comparing Paul and Phil Collins?
Just don't compare our bank accounts.
Yeah.
Actually excited about that, though. We're going to have the truck out there tomorrow morning.
Wait, what? I married you for your money. Did you not know that?
Oh, yeah. Good job. I have the truck out there at 9 a.m. I don't know if it'll be raining, but we're going to fill it.
Yeah.
And we're going to run all that food down to the other way.
Yeah.
We're so excited about it.
Love it.
Super neat.
So this is the weirdest bit of good news I think that I've read yet. This is from the Good News Network, and it was talking about a mushroom canoe. So might sound like the beginning of a fairy tale, but it's actually Katie Ayer's unique way of informing the public about the utility of a fungi and mycelium. She used this fascinating organism, which is neither plant nor bacteria nor animal, fun fact, to create a hardened, watertight vessel, which she has fondly dubbed her My Canoe, which is some nerd joke pun that I don't even understand really. My Kono.
Wait,
I don't
you don't
know.
understand a pun? That's
Yeah, I know,
crazy.
but it's because it's like science and it's above my head. So she goes, mushrooms are here to help us. They're a gift, she told NBC. There's so much we can do with them beyond just food. It's so limitless. They're our biggest ally for helping the environment, which is news to me. I didn't know mushrooms were limitless in their capacity. Did you guys?
No, I like mushrooms.
Yeah, they're okay. So since mycelium can bind and form around a given skeleton, Ayers managed to grow the canoe simply by letting the mycelium sculpt itself around the wire frame of a canoe. Sitting in a special room with temperatures of 90 degrees Fahrenheit and 100% humidity, it only took 90 days for the mushrooms to cover the entire skeleton of the canoe. The My Canoe now weighs just 100 pounds after it was dried in the hot Nebraska summer sun. It also still fruits after it is taken out on the water, meaning it continually grows mushrooms and releases spores. Kind of just sounds creepy and weird to like sit in that, but here nor there.
Very interesting.
It is interesting.
I think this was my favorite line from the article. She says, It really helps bridge that gap between people that don't have an interest in mushrooms. Maybe they don't like to eat mushrooms and really haven't thought about any other potential uses for them. So she's just talking about how it bridges the gap between people that like, who has an interest in mushrooms, like legitimately. Like, it was just a little odd to me.
I like them on my steak and my pizza, but I've never floated in one.
Yeah.
So very fascinating.
So already mushrooms are being used to create compostable car parts for Ford, and IKEA has committed to transition much of its plastic packaging to a mushroom-based renewable alternative. So, who knew?
That's so weirdo.
I know.
Sorry.
We'll pull up the picture, and when you see her like in the canoe, it's just the weirdest thing. But
I see that, actually.
you got to get creative during quarantine, I guess.
Yes.
Even though.
Yes.
Yeah, she said she really liked to fish, and might as well grow your own canoe, you know? So this is our last one from Goodnews letter. There was a local grocer in Canada that caught a man stealing food. He stopped him, and he ended up giving him free groceries. So who knew that, you know, Canada brought like such amazing stories and people, right, Ryan? Yeah, he's behind the camera. He's not going to talk, but he's laughing.
It's all Aboot Canada.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. All Aboot Canada. And if you haven't seen it, I posted a video with Ryan last week where I photoshopped him into these different Canadian scenarios. Did you guys see that?
I did.
I was pretty proud of it. Shout out to Shannon for doing that graphic. It was good. Ryan's giving me the, yeah, it was good. A-okay. So a local grocer is being lauded on social media after giving away groceries to a man who was stealing from his store. Mike Williamson, owner of Central Fresh Market in the heart of Waterloo, wasn't looking for publicity himself, according to his son Josh. However, his heartfelt gesture on Monday garnered hundreds of likes and shares on social media thanks to customers who witnessed the act. Just witnessed a man caught stealing out at our local grocery, reads a tweet posted Monday evening. Watched the owner confront him and pull fruits and vegetables out of his pack. Then heard the owner say, "We will feed you." 5 minutes later, saw the man walking through the parking lot with a bag full of groceries. So then it goes on in the article, and all these articles are posted in our description. It just goes on about how the grocery store is also trying to raise awareness for just people that have food insecurity in the community, and they donate a certain amount of their groceries to that as well. It made me think about people today. Like, we think we have to give away a bunch of money or do all these things, but with whatever you're doing, as long as we're doing it with a generous spirit and sacrificially, I think God cares about that so much more than he does like the actual amount of things. Like, as long as we're being stretched a little bit in our generosity and caring to love people like this local grocer was doing, I think it's amazing that like we shouldn't feel like we're falling short if we can't afford to give like some of the headlines and the stuff that you read of like people donating millions or billions of dollars, and then you're like, I donated to a food bank, like, but that is what God cares about, is that we are doing something and we are being encouraged to be generous in some way.
Well, every little bit helps.
Right.
So
Yeah.
even if it's little, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Seems like that's prevalent. You guys notice it in this pandemic thing we're in? It seems like there's more people more aware of need than prior.
Yeah.
When we were all kind of caught up in our own little
For sure.
life or world or our own needs or whatever, and then all happens, and I'm seeing a little more compassion and for your fellow man than maybe before. Maybe that's a good outflow of this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. Finding the good in some way and finding the positive and how we can grow in some way. I agree.
For sure.
So while we have one of the top local artists in Ada, Michigan in our presence, I know, right? I thought it would be good to talk for a bit about music, and Paul, kind of what role that music plays in the church for you, kind of your philosophy when you just think of music, what it means to you and what it means to the worship experience, and where do you think it's potentially going and how it's changed and what you think needs to stay the same. So just wondering, that's a lot of questions, but just your general concept of music, right? People show up Sunday morning and the music just happens, but you care about the steps, the little things, and just being able to work with you being a perfectionist, which I love when it comes to all the details matter. when people show up Sunday. I've really appreciated that, and I just wanted to hear more of your perspective of.
But yeah, I mean,
music.
it's no secret that the creative arts in general, particularly music, are a huge part of the church, the greater church. It's a huge part of the worship experience. It's a huge part of the church, and that's kind of exploded in the last 15, 20 years. I mean, it was always a big part going back to early church. The hymns and choirs, but in our culture, I think it's really cool how the creative arts in our culture have become such a vehicle for worship and for pointing people to God and for teaching, and that excites me. That inspires me. It's why I kind of got into this, because of that. Here at Keystone, I think it's unique because we have a little more creative freedom, maybe a lot more creative freedom than many churches do. We do secular openers sometimes. We always try to do positive stuff, but we'll do fun music that just points us in a direction towards the talk or to teach or theme. But we have a cool creative freedom here. And it's not always perfect. Sometimes we stumble and we try things that there's a little motto we have. I shouldn't repeat probably, but it's dare to stink. I'll go with that word. But take some risks, so we do. And I'm a detail person, so when I'm looking at a song, an arrangement, or a band, or a chord chart, I get into those details. I enjoy that. And it can be a struggle sometimes. Sometimes you just have to just let it be. But I think I think your other question in there was like, where is it headed? I think, and I know you and Ryan listen to a lot of music as well, and I think it's really encouraging what I'm hearing from the Christian music community. It was really bad. 20 years ago, it was bad. It was just so bad.
What's like your go-to cringy song of 20 years ago? Where you think of it, you're like,
there's so many.
Man,
I mean, you think of like "Lord, I Lift Your Name on High" and some of those songs, and you see a bunch of people clapping off beat.
Right.
It wasn't.
Like it's like with all that stuff too. It's hard in that conversation because it's good intentions and people doing it with like the right heart, but it's just it's really hard to just not think about the quality and that you want something a little better to worship to.
Well, you do, and it's not a rip on those older, early Christian songs. In fact, go way back to the hymns. They're beautiful songs. So it's not that as much as it is that current musical cultures and styles hadn't yet found their way into the church. Now when I listen to Elevation and some of the music that's coming out, it's incorporating soul and R&B and country and just Americana styles. There's so many blending music styles now in praise music. And so when we're leading worship in a corporate sense, which hopefully someday we'll be able to do again, we will. But you can do all these things musically that you couldn't do before. You had to kind of stay in the 3-chord box. So it's exciting to me.
Love that. And when you first started coming to Keystone, I feel like I remember you talking about how your faith wasn't like you thought Jesus was a cool person, but you weren't super bought into it quite yet, and how you've developed into a Christ follower over the years here at Keystone. What was the shift in music like for you in that process, or did I get the whole story wrong?
No, that's true. I mean, when I was touring around, my faith, I was raised in a Catholic home, so I had some faith, but it wasn't real. And so when I kind of got done running around the country playing music, and I kind of got more interested in faith, I think, as a young man, kind of looking for the next answer. And I was invited to play at a church in Hudsonville called Daybreak. At the time, it was a kind of a cutting-edge church in the area, and so they were kind of rocking it out before anybody was rocking it out. So I kept saying no. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to play at a church. And anyway, I finally did, and that's really where my faith came alive. And ever since then, and that was 35 years ago. It was a long time ago. Ever since then, I've always looked at the music, or the stage, if you will, in a church as a mission field.
So you have all your day is full of music. What's like your go-to when you get home during quarantine, if anything? Do you just turn the radio off, or like for our listeners, what is the Paul Militello listen to?
I sometimes do get home after a long day and I'm a little musiced out, to be honest. But other days, we like to listen to like Norah Jones and just soft. I like acoustic singer-songwriter stuff. It's just kind of chill but usually it's a little softer volume.
Nice. See,
the background.
I like Norah Jones, but I don't know why you would pick an artist such as her.
I love that.
No, it's just a play on the "Don't Know Why" song.
Oh,
he's like, "Don't know why."
I missed that one.
Yeah, you're just like, bro, chill out, knocking on my music.
I gotta be prepared for your.
Yeah. So I'll flip from like serious to joking really quick. I feel like I often do it in like staff meetings or any exact same tone. Yep. So Michelle, talk to me a little bit about how you have been experiencing faith during quarantine, and have you been reading anything? Have you been meeting with your small group? What does growth look like for you during this time?
Yeah, I actually, I'm still working, but I do have more time because I can't do stuff with my grandkids and so I have a couple Zoom meetings a week, which are more just big idea groups. And I'm just having a blast with it because we're still connecting as a small group. I've brought in a couple people I knew and a couple people I didn't know, and creating some new relationships over Zoom, of all things. Who knew I'd be doing that?
For those who don't know, can you explain what big idea groups are and the concept?
So the concept of a big idea group is just based on Brady's message or whoever's speaking on Sunday. And we do a study guide around that message to go a little deeper into it and talk about how the scriptures and the talk affected you in your everyday life. And it's a great study guide to use weekly. And so that's what I like to do. So I bring the girls together and we start out with girlfriend's happy hour, so everybody comes in with her favorite beverage.
What's been like the most unique beverage like that has
I don't know if I'll just say Jen. I won't say the last name. She came with some type of Mai Tai fruity drink, and she had a lei-on. So she was like comes
a
into
lei-on?
Zoom. Yeah, so she had her big flower lei, and she came in like.
Oh, that. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The flower.
I thought lei-on was a phrase in itself. I was like, man, what? Okay.
No.
Right.
No, it's like she was the most festive happy hour.
Nice. I mean, you might as well get creative during quarantine,
exactly.
Right?
It was great.
Make some bougie drink. So shout out to Jen.
Yeah. We always start out with just catch up, life, family, how you doing? Every week it changes because of different rules going on and people's jobs changing or whatever. Yeah. And so, it's been great. And we dig into the big idea guide for the second half. And,
And we have groups that you can still sign up for. I know I've gotten a couple emails because I oversee a lot of our small groups. If you want to get connected, or it's such a good way to just have conversation about faith and just to talk to other people during this time. So want to make sure if you're listening to this and you feel like you don't have someone to talk to and you need to discuss faith and want to just see someone on the other side of the screen and grab a drink or something, please just go to our sign up page and join a group. And I've gotten a couple of those emails and I'm really glad to see those, but want people to continue to stay connected and engaged in this season. This is kind of something new that's in the works too. We're in the process of doing some what we're going to call probably like diving deeper for people to receive emails throughout the week of different lessons and ways to engage in the word and kind of like their chair time and helping with that. Kind of like a big idea, but extended a little more that connects to the message. So we're going to try that this summer, and it's kind of like what we were talking about before. Dare to stink, as Paul would say, and edit it so the children can listen. Children, we're glad you're here. And yeah, we'll see what happens, but we're looking forward to launching that
Yeah,
too
I'm excited
this summer.
about that. I think
Yeah.
that'll be really fun.
It's gonna be good.
Yep. And Ryan and I continue to update our Spotify playlists. Michelle, I think you just recently got Spotify or
Yeah,
subscribed to Keystone.
I'm so bad with technology,
Yeah.
and you were telling me about the Spotify account, and I'm like, Keystone has a Spotify account, and so I downloaded the app.
Yeah.
So now I'm really cool.
Yeah.
I can listen to our playlist.
So by the time you hear this, Ryan and I are going to drop the May playlist probably like April 30 or May 1 or something like that. So Ryan updates top 40-ish songs that are kind of poppy, light and uplifting, and family appropriate, and then I'll upload 40 worship songs that some are newer and some are just quality. It's called new plus quality. So those are updated essentially at the first of every month. And so, Michelle, you'll get to listen to some good tracks for a week, and then we'll refresh your playlist. So
I'm
it's
excited about that.
yeah.
I didn't know we had that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're talking about it. It's because it's on, if you just type in Keystone Community Church in Spotify, it should pop up. And then you can, if you have Spotify Premium, you can download them onto your phone and listen to them really whenever. And if you don't have Spotify Premium, you can just listen to them with commercials and stuff. But you have to be connected to some sort of a network. But
That's cool.
yeah, it's helped me in certain times where I'm like, man, I just need to put on some solid worship music and get in a different headspace during quarantine. I've appreciated that. So please like and subscribe on Apple or Spotify podcasts or YouTube, and you will get an update whenever we drop these Keystone Connect messages, videos. And maybe leave us a comment or something saying, hey, Eric, I like that makeup you used today. Or, hey, Michelle, love your, what is it?
Gina's shirt?
Gina's shirt, 3
Yes.
days of peace and music.
Right.
What is that, like, what does that mean, actually?
I don't
It's just,
know.
Kind of a run at Woodstock, you know?
yeah. Hey, Paul, I really liked your dad's shoes that you
Yeah,
recently
thank
bought today, you know? We love those comments. We love hearing from you. We just want to make sure that we're reaching you wherever you're at, and we're spreading some good news and talking about faith and having fun. So on that note, we shall see you later. And then we have
Peace up.
Peace
Or no,
up.
bless
Bless
up.
up.
Bless
Bless
up.
up. You got
I
to
saw
sing
that. Darn
up.
it. Bless up.
Bless up.
Bless up. You like change your tone a little bit when you